Into the DIY. Welcome to my channel. My name is Orly Shani if you're new. If you're not new, probably hate me saying that because it's quite redundant at this point. We're like 2 years in. I do DIY fashion. Today's is something that I've had saved in my phone for probably a year, which I always love when I do this, but I hate it because like, what have I been waiting for? But then I get so happy because I check it off my list. I'm so torn. I'm doing these jeans, vintage Levi's with this really cool lighter colored contrast panel on the inside, like on the inseam. So not only does it add visual interest where it's just cool, it looks cool, but it also creates like a really neat cropped wide leg pant, which is such a huge trend right now and actually really flattering. If you're gonna do this, you don't need to do it with Levi's. You just need a pair of jeans that are tight and fitted throughout the leg. You can make them floor length as well. They don't need to be cropped. And you need to look for a denim that is like the same blend as yours. You wanna find something that's very similar to that because what you don't want is that the weights and the movement are different, that like the outer part of your leg has this movement and the inside's like a crunchy block. You want them to be similar weight and as identical a weave as you can possibly get. Then it's really just a matter of figuring out the color. Do you want them to match? Do you want a contrast, lighter, darker? That's totally up to you. Here are my Levi's. This is the color tone of my Levi's. I went and got another pair of Levi's from the thrift store, but we're really just using it for parts. So I'm gonna cut this up and use it to create my inner panel. Can you hear my dog? Her nails are so large and in charge. So let's do it, guys. We are gonna get right into materials because that's what comes next. So you can see I've already seam ripped open one pant leg and it's time to move on to the other. I've gone all the way up, leaving only about 2 inches remaining of the original seam. So grab your seam ripper, and the first one we're gonna do is that top stitch, which is with that kind of like orangey rust colored thread. You're just going to put your seam ripper in with the little dot on the top and just push. You can hear it. It's highly satisfying. And this part goes super fast. You can rip this open in no time at all. Take your jeans, and on the one side you already did, use it as a guide for your second side so you know how high to go up. Just put a pin in place and then seam rip it open to that place. Now is the part that takes a little bit longer because we're opening up the real seam, not the top stitch, but that actual like overlocked seam. Just take your time with it, keep going, ripping, going, and it'll open right up for you. Once you get up to that pin, double check to make sure that you're perfectly even, and if you are, you just want to clean it up. Get rid of any of those old threads, pull any long threads out, use your fingernail to kind of get rid of the little tiny ones. Just make sure that it's clean and none of the old threads are there. Push those off to the side and grab your donor jeans. Now we want to cut these basically as high as we possibly can so that we have a lot of fabric to work with just in case we need it. So you're going to cut it basically right up to the pockets and that seam. By the way, that's how you make cutoffs. You just want to make sure that they're even. So normally what you would do is you would fold them in half. I mean, I did a pretty good job there. We'd fold them in half so that you're starting at the exact same side on the outer thigh and then cut in and make sure that that's even. You want basically that to be even. But anyway, if you cut them in a way that you can keep it, then you can have cutoff shorts for the summertime. All right, so I'm cutting open my 2 panels here so that I've got 2 pieces to work with. By the way, for those of you that always ask, I have a tag on my scissors because they're samples. I'm trying to manufacture fabric scissors and I need to put them to the test, see which ones are best, and so I have got to keep the manufacturer tag on them. Anyway, so here we go. Here are my 2 donor panels. Now, you have to make a decision here based off your jeans. If your jeans have an existing hem, then you actually want to keep the hem on your donor jeans as well so that they match perfectly. If yours are cut and shredded like mine, then you want to cut off that hem so that you can shred it later and that they match. The bottom hem, you obviously want it to match. So open up your jeans, and this part is really just about playing around and trying to create a natural slope in your jeans so that you're not creating too much of like a bell. You want a wide leg, not a bell. So lay the fabric in, decide whether you're gonna clean finish and hem them or whether you're gonna leave the raw edge like I did. Lay them in, kind of play around with it. I realized to have a natural slope that I needed to open it up just a little bit more. So I only left 1 inch on either side, still closed, and opened up everything else. Now I've decided to just trim the top of this a little bit because it's more fabric than I need and it was kind of getting in the way. So just trim it up a little bit. Now it's time to pin it into place. I lay everything down. Again, take your time making sure that the slope of it feels natural. Your jeans are gonna have a natural way that they lay flat. Anything more than that's gonna feel like you're kind of pushing them too far. So just work with it. Once you're ready, put your hand inside of your jeans so that you can pin it into place more easily. You're just gonna pin, obviously, your original jeans to the donor piece and work your way all the way up. When you get to this point at the top, you really want to take your time and make sure to pin it actually with 2 or 3 pins so that it really lays in a sharp point, because that's where the entire panel starts. So that's really where you want to make sure it's even. You can see I added a ton more pins, just that way when I'm sewing it, nothing can move on me. Now it was time to do the other one, and because I've already done one, I have to use that as a guide for my second. So I measure how wide the opening is at the bottom. It was 5 inches, so that's where I start. I lay my panel inside, lay everything so it kind of has a nice natural slope, and measure 5 inches and pin that in place. Now we sort of work our way backwards, making sure that it's laying nice and flat, but that it ends at the 5-inch mark. Again, your jeans are gonna have a natural slope. They're not gonna wanna bend much more, so it'll be easy as you're working with it. It's time to sew it, and you can see originally I wanted to use that rust color that is meant for denim, but I couldn't find the actual spool. I only had the bobbin. It actually was a blessing in disguise because the natural denim blue color just was completely hidden. So anywhere that my stitch wasn't perfectly straight, you didn't even notice it. It just sort of disappeared. So now we're doing a straight stitch all the way up. You're just gonna do a simple straight stitch right along the edge. I know it stresses you out that I sew over my pins, but that's how my grandmother taught me. So take it up with Oma. All right, we're sewing, and again, same thing. When you get to the very top, you want to take your time. This is that really sharp V that you want to be a really soft, gradual, no puckering, nothing. Remove all of your pins, and now you can see we've got this large panel. Now, the reason it's really nice to do it this way and not try to create some sort of perfect panel, like a perfect pattern piece, is that you have a lot more room for error. You can just lay it in, pin it in a way that feels nice, sew it in a way that feels nice, and then cut off your excess, as opposed to trying to create this perfect triangle that fits in perfectly. This is just a much simpler way of doing it. Cut off your excess and shake it all out, and now it's time to iron it. Now, just kidding. Now it's time to cut our hem. Now, originally I was gonna cut it straight across so it was even, but then I remembered these kind of cool uneven hems, and I actually really liked the way it was looking, so I decided to keep the uneven hem on the bottom. I can always go in and even it up after the fact, but for right now, I actually think it looks really cool. It was a total accident, but I like it. All right, last step, the ironing portion. You wanna make sure that you're ironing these really well from every possible direction so that it starts to feel like it's one cohesive pant and not a pant with a panel. Now again, because my jeans were distressed, I need to distress this part of my hem as well so that it all looks like one cohesive piece. And now we're done. We're done. I'm so excited that I actually checked this one off my to-do list. Man, I've been wanting to do it for so long. And the last minute swap-aroo of leaving that extension, I'm actually really excited about. I was not planning on doing it, but what's cool is that it actually is part of this overall trend. The idea that taking 2 pairs of jeans or 2 jackets and merging them together and having these uneven hems is its own thing. So now I feel like I kind of got it, twofer. A little twofer situation. I actually think that the mistake of not being able to find the rust colored thread was a blessing because I didn't have to be so precise with my lines. It is pretty hard when you're getting in there, you're dealing with all of the fabric. So to make this perfect stitch line is not the easiest thing to do. So by doing a matching thread, you don't even notice if it kind of wobbles a little bit. So I would make that change no matter what. And then the last thing is, again, just make sure that you make your hems match. So either you use the hemmed portion of your donor jeans, or after you cut it, make sure you take the time to go in there and shred them so they look like they were always designed that way. Okay, that's it, guys. If you liked this episode, I hope that you'll subscribe if you aren't already. And if you are, please share this. Share this on your Instagram stories or post it to your Facebook page. Share it with a friend. It helps me so much. And it means so much. All right, guys, next week, another fantastic DIY. I will see you then. Mwah. Have a great week. Bye.
Esa chica quiere selfie, ella quiere ver. Pa' que el jefe se dé cuenta que aquí perdió esa mujer. Lo que quiere es enloquecer, ser la mujer que él quería ver. Esa chica quiere selfie, selfie, que yo parezca en él. Como que ella quiere disfruta la noche, lo anormal. Creo que el novio teme que su relación va a terminar. Se da cuenta que no necesita a alguien más. Quiere un selfie para su Instagram. Ella ya no quiere relación, alguien que diga su condición, que solamente le dé traición, para después llegar con un perdón.